What's going on, everybody? Welcome into Blazers Uprise Live, powered by BetUS here on a Monday. Today, the Blazers play in Memphis. That game is tipping off in about an hour. We'll preview that, and we'll talk about your Portland Trail Blazers 17 games into the season. It's going to be a little bit of a state of the union, so to say. But also, we got 9 games for picks against the spread, which should be fun. Eric won't be joining us, unfortunately. And with games tipping off very shortly, we got to jump straight into it with our picks against the spread standings. We actually had an above 500 day last Thursday, which is great news. Eric continues to crush it 4-1, 4 games up on everybody else. Zach and Jackson, 0-5 days. Jackson is 26-52. He's been struggling. 0-5. He's just been in a major slump. 1-8 on his double downs. My condolences to him. Rough day for me because I picked 3 out of the 4 games right and I doubled down on the wrong one. Standing still pretty close. We'll see if anybody can catch Eric. I would hate for him to lead this thing basically wire to wire. Now let's jump into game number 1. We have the Charlotte Hornets hosting the Orlando Magic, and the Magic are 4.5-point road favorites in this one. The chat poll's already up. The injuries are already in the chat, and we are going to rattle off these picks. The first 3 games are 4:10 p.m. tip-off times, so if you're making your picks in chat, try not to look at the score if we're a little bit late. Also, if you're making your picks in chat, vote on let me know if it's a double down when we get to each game, and that's how we are going to do things. Now, I am going to go with the Orlando Magic. They're playing really good basketball. We got Zach going Hornets. Eric is going Hornets. You got Aeromancer going Magic, and this is also going to be his double down. All right, and then, sorry, I'm getting my screenshots in order here so I can read these off quickly. We got Crushables going Hornets. We got Stephen Vaughn going with the Orlando Magic. And we got 503 going with the Magic as well. All right, picks in chat. We got Hornets for Jackson. Javon says there's an echo. An echo with the music? Or an echo with my voice? My room does echo. I need to get some soundproofing and stuff. All right. Jackson, Hornets. Hornets for Trevin. Magic for Connor. People saying Javon is tripping and there actually isn't an echo. Let's see, Javon went Hornets. Chat, it looks like, is going with the Magic. And Brendan went with the Magic as well. All right, so a 7v6 in favor of the Magic. Game number 2, we have the Indiana Pacers hosting the New Orleans Pelicans. Indiana is a 7-point home favorite. I put the wrong logo behind them. Oh, well. Injuries for this game. Out for the Pelicans, Zion Williamson, Jose Alvarado, Herb Jones, DeJounte Murray, who's supposed to return soon, and Brandon Ingram. Returning is CJ McCollum and Yves Missy. Out for the Pacers, Andrew Nembhard, Aaron Nesmith, Isaiah Jackson, James Wiseman, Ben Shepherd, and Johnny Furphy. If you're just joining, we will get to the State of the Union after we are done with picks against the spread. And I'm going to go into some advanced stats and general themes from the team. And then we'll finish it off by previewing tonight's game. All right, chat, there is your poll. Picks for this game. We got Pelicans from Javon and Pacers from everybody else in chat. Alrighty, I'm going Pacers, so you had Jackson, Brendan, Trevin, Connor. All with the Pacers. Javon went Pelicans. And then picks from chat. We got Pelicans for Crushables. We got people doing it out of order. Pacers for Steven. Pacers for 503. Arrow went Pacers. Eric went Pacers. And Zach went Pelicans. It looks like chat is going with Pacers. 62% of the vote. So a 10v3 in favor of the Pacers. All right, game number 3. Third and final. 4:10 p.m. tip-off time. We got Detroit as 4.5-point home favorites against the Raptors. I'm going to do your guys' chat poll first. And then I will rattle off the injuries. The injury report for this game. Out for the Raptors: Bruce Brown, Emmanuel Quickley, Kelly Olynyk, DJ Carton, and Grady Dick. Out for the Pistons is Bobby Klintman and Cade Cunningham. I'm going with the Pistons. Actually, I forget Scotty Barnes is back for the Raptors. He's been out all year. And I guess they got RJ Barrett back. You know what? I'll go Raptors. We got Raptors for Javon, Raptors for Jackson. We got Raptors for Zach. We got Raptors for Eric. We got Raptors for Arrow. 503 is Pistons. Stephen Vaughn is Pistons. And Crushables is Pistons. Bringing it back for Detroit. Trevin is Raptors. And Brendan is Raptors. This is also going to be his double down. And then Connor is Raptors as well. Chat is going with the Detroit Pistons. 67% of the vote. Chat loves themselves a favorite. This is a 9v4 in favor of the Raptors. All right. Now we move on to later games, and I actually have to plug in the proper graphic for this. So just give me a second. And I'm probably going to have to do this with every game. Just get all the graphics in here. This game, you got Atlanta hosting Dallas. Atlanta is actually a 3-point home favorite. Injuries for this game. Out for the Mavericks: Dante Exum, Luka Doncic, Quentin Grimes, and Klay Thompson. Obviously, Luka and Klay, the big ones there. Out for the Hawks: Seth Lundy and Cody Zeller. So basically, we got Kyrie versus Trae Young. Chat, there's your poll. All right. I'm going with Atlanta. We got Crushables going Mavericks. We got Stephen Vaughn going Hawks. We got 503 going with the Hawks. Arrow is going with the Mavericks. Eric is going with the Hawks. And Zach is going with the Hawks. All right. Picks in chat. We got Hawks from Trevin, Brendan, Jackson. We got Mavs for Javon and chat is going with the Hawks, 56% of the vote. Just waiting on Connor. Connor is going with the Mavs. So we got another 9v4 in favor of the Hawks over the Mavs. This next game, we're gonna have to go back to the good old two-person camera. No Eric though. I need like a placeholder for Eric. All right. This game is not Rockets Bucks, by the way. Let me plug in the graphic for this game. We got Celtics Clippers. The Boston Celtics are a whopping 10.5 point home favorites over the LA Clippers. Injuries for this game. Out for the Clippers, PJ Tucker, Kawhi Leonard, Mo Bamba, and Norman Powell. Out for the Celtics is Luke Cornett and Al Horford. Kristaps Porzingis makes his season debut today. He makes his return to the lineup. And chat, there's your poll. Connor got his pick in quick, man. Quickest I've ever seen Connor get his pick, and he is going with the Boston Celtics. All right, we got Crushables going Celtics. I'm gonna go Clippers. Stephen Vaughn is going Clippers. 503 is going Celtics. Arrow is going Clippers. Eric is going Celtics. Zach is going Clippers. Picks from chat. We got Celtics for Connor, Trevin Jackson. We got Celtics for Brendan and Clippers for Javon. Looks like chat is going with the Clippers, 56% of the vote. So we got an 7v6 in favor of the Clippers. A split vote, as split as we can get it this year. The next game is... Make sure I click the right one. All right, we got your Portland Trail Blazers on the road in Memphis. Believe it or not, Memphis is a 10.5 point home favorite. Injuries for this game, and it's a notable injury report for your Portland Trail Blazers. Out for the Blazers is Donovan Clingan, Matisse Thybulle, DeAndre Ayton, Chris Murray, and Scoot Henderson. Robert Williams presumably will get the start. I have not seen the starting lineup. Out for the Grizzlies is Gigi Jackson, Zach Edey, and Vince Williams Jr. Ja Morant makes his return after an 8-game absence. That's part of the reason why the spread is what it is. 10.5 is crazy. Trevin going Blazers. Jackson going Blazers. Whoops, I did the logos backwards. All right. I'm going to go Grizzlies. I kind of have a feeling the Blazers have a letdown today. Disappointing game without Clingan especially. Blazers for Connor. Zach went Blazers. Eric went Blazers. Arrow went Grizzlies. 503 Blazers. Stephen Vaughn Blazers. And Crushables went Grizzlies. Brendan went Grizzlies. Javon Blazers. In chat, I need to give you guys a poll. My apologies. Grizzlies versus Blazers. Can you guys hear the dog barking outside either? I got thin walls or something. Sometimes I wonder if my neighbors can hear me when I stream. Especially when I get rambunctious. Alright, chat, I'll give you a solid 30 seconds to vote in that poll. Meanwhile, I'll actually plug in the graphics for the rest of the game. Also, let me know if it's time to switch out the background music as well. I know you guys said you liked it, but if you guys get tired of it, we can always switch it up. All right. I don't know if the music was restarting for you guys, but chat, it looks like it's going with the Portland Trail Blazers, so that makes this game a good ol' 9v4 in favor of your Portland Trail Blazers. Game number 7 and 9, you got the Denver Nuggets hosting the New York Knicks. This is a pretty good matchup. The Nuggets are 3.5-point home favorites. Injuries for this game. Out for the Knicks is Mitchell Robinson, Precious Achiuwa, and Kevin McCullough. Questionable are Miles McBride and Karl Anthony Towns. Out for the Nuggets, Aaron Gordon, De'Ron Holmes, and Vlatko Konkar. And probable is Peyton Watson. All right, I'm going with the Nuggets. We got Nuggets for Crushables. We got Nuggets for Stephen Vaughn. We got Nuggets for 503. We got Nuggets for Aeromancer. We got Knicks for Eric. And we got Nuggets for Zach. Picks from chat. We got Knicks for Jackson, Javon, Brendan. And we got Nuggets from Connor and Trevin. Chat is going with the Denver Nuggets. 78% of the vote. That might be your guys' double down today. So we got another 9v4 in favor of the Denver Nuggets. Game number 8. We have the Golden State Warriors hosting the Brooklyn Nets. The Warriors, biggest spread of the day. They are 13.5-point home favorites. Injuries in this game. Out for the Nets, Day'Ron Sharpe, Dorian Finney-Smith, Bojan Bogdanovic, who hasn't played this season, Ben Simmons, and Noah Clowney. Doubtful is starting center Nick Claxton, and questionable is Dennis Schroeder. So it might be Cam Thomas versus the world. Out for the Golden State Warriors is DeAnthony Melton, and questionable is Jonathan Kuminga. Which explains why this spread is so high. East Metro says Golden State easily. You're picking the spread line. So in order for Golden State to be the correct pick, they need to win by more than 13.5, so 14 or more. In order for the Nets to be the right pick, if Golden State wins by 13, the Nets are the right pick because it's under that 13.5 spread line. Hence, picks against the spread being the name of the segment. We got Warriors for Brendan, Jackson, Connor. With that said, I'm going Warriors as well. Yeah, it wouldn't be much fun if it was just picking who wins games because, yeah, it would clearly be Golden State in this one. But, I mean, you've seen crazier things happen. We got Zach going with the Nets. see here. We got Eric going with the Nets. We got Arrow going with the Warriors. I think this is the day I finally make some ground up on Eric. I really do. 503 is Nets. Stephen Vaughn is Nets. And Crushables is Nets. So pretty split against this huge spread line. Javon is going Nets as well. Which means right now it's a 6v6, so it's up to chat. Chat, though, they love themselves a favor. Even with the big spread line, they are going Warriors. And it might be the double down. Might be the double down because it's also upper 70 percentile. Final game of the day. You got the Sacramento Kings hosting the OKC Thunder. The Thunder are 3.5-point road favorites. Out for the Thunder, Chet Holmgren, Jalen Williams, Nikola Topic, Ousmane Dieng, and Alex Caruso. Questionable is Isaiah Joe. Then out for the Kings is Devin Carter, Mason Jones, and Isaiah Crawford. Probable is Malik Monk. So once again, based on the spread, the Thunder got to win by 4 or more to be the correct pick. Otherwise, you should be going with the Kings. I'm going to go with OKC. The Kings just have been very inconsistent so far this season. Connor is going with the Kings. Crushables is going with the Thunder. Stephen Vaughn is going with the Kings. 503 is going with the Kings. Thunder for Arrowmancer. I feel like me and Arrowmancer agreed a lot today. We got Thunder for Eric. We got Thunder for Zach. Picks in chat. We got Thunder for Brendan and Trevin. And we got Kings for Javon and Jackson. Chat is going Thunder, 75% of the vote. Which makes this an 8v5 in favor of the Thunder. Time for double downs. We're back to the full screen camera. All right, if you don't know what this section is, this is doubling down on one of your choices to make it count as either 2 wins or 2 losses. So this should be the game that you're most comfortable in. My double down is going to be the Denver Nuggets. Zach's double down is the Clippers. Eric's double down is the Thunder. Arrowmancer's double down is the Orlando Magic. So far they're all different. We love to see that. 503's double down is the Indiana Pacers. Stephen Vaughn's double down is the Atlanta Hawks. We're still all different. Crushable's double down, New Orleans Pelicans. What was chat's double down? Somebody let me know. Jackson's doubling down on the Warriors. We got Connor doubling down on the Kings. We're really going all different. Trevin doubling down on the Hawks. What's up, Christopher? All right, yeah, need to know chat's double down. Also, Javon and Brendan. Steven, as I said, went Hawks. So Steven and Trevin agree. The only agreement that we've gotten so far. Javon says Raptors for his double down. Yes, I did not see. And Brendan is Raptors as well, so we got a little bit of agreement. Normally we get even more agreement than this, and also I need to know chat's percentage. Well, actually I can look. So Warriors were 78%, Nuggets were 77%, Magic were 76%. So chat's double down is going to be the Golden State Warriors. They are rolling with Jackson, who has been the worst so far this season, but that just makes for a better comeback story, right? Jackson is 26-52, 1-A on double down. So chat, that is who you're tying your wagon to, but we'll see. We'll see. Maybe this is the day that he turns it around. There are your double downs. That is picks against the spread. Good luck to everybody today. It's always fun following along with our picks and the games that are going. The games that tipped off around when we picked them so far, you got the Hornets up 23-18 over the Magic. You got the Pacers up 29-23 over the Pelicans, and you got the Pistons up 26-15 over the Raptors. That looks like a tough one for the majority of us. And that concludes picks against the spread. Now, let's have a little bit of a State of the Union. I want to do this like every 17 to 20 games or so. Maybe a little bit more often. But what I want to do is I just want to look at some advanced metrics, which we talk about this on post-game shows, but I just want to go through basically every advanced metrics over on one of my favorite websites called dunksandthrees.com. And we get to talk about where the Blazers are at right now. How are they playing recently? How are they playing as a whole? And where are their numbers at? So, right now, according to adjusted offensive and defensive rating, this is like normal offensive and defensive rating, which are basically points scored per 100 possessions for you and against you. But it's also adjusted for the strength of schedule. So your adjusted offensive rating will be a little bit higher if you're going against tough defenses. Adjusted defensive rating will be a little higher if you're going against tough offenses, and vice versa. The Portland Trailblazers right now are the 30th ranked offense, last place, with an adjusted offensive rating of 107.5. Awful. 29th place is 108. 28th place is 109.7. And 27th place is 110.1. Okay. The Blazers are worse offensively than the Washington Wizards. The Blazers are worse offensively than the Detroit Pistons. Adjusted defensive rating, the Blazers are 18th, so close to average. And that number has been creeping up as the Blazers, the last 6 games, when they're 4-2, have been playing good defense. The Blazers have had the 3rd toughest strength of schedule, which makes their 7-10 record very impressive. Despite their 7-10 record, though, the Blazers have the 29th ranked adjusted net rating. So second to last adjusted net rating. This is worse than Toronto, New Orleans, Utah. And this is because the Blazers have a lot of close wins and a lot of terrible blowout losses. And the point of these numbers is to illustrate that even though we're 17 games in, I have no idea what this basketball team is. Because they will have nights where they just don't show up, but when they do show up, they're competitive and they can win close games. Or at least have so far this season. And if you look at these numbers, they're going to be held down by games where the Blazers just get destroyed and seem to give up by halftime, right? But how much stock should you really put into those, considering when things get going bad, the Blazers get really bad. But when they don't go bad, they're competitive and feisty and fun. I don't know. So I wish you could, account for blowouts, once the deficit gets past 15 points, don't count the numbers and see where the Blazers would rank, because I think they'd rank much higher in some of, adjusted offensive rating, adjusted defensive rating, that sort of thing. It's just kind of interesting to look at. Pace, the Blazers are 12th ranked. They have the 6th ranked defensive possession length, which is basically 6th fastest. So they can speed teams up. 14th ranked offensive possession length. Let's look at what Dunks and Threes calls the 4 factors, which is effective field goal percentage, turnover percentage, offensive rebound, and free throw rate. The Blazers have the worst Effective field goal percentage, no surprise there, coincides with them having the worst offense. We'll take a look at where they shoot from the rim, mid-range, and three in a second. The Blazers also turn over the ball at the second to worst clip, but they're tied 16.7 turnover percentage with the Utah Jazz. So they turn over the ball a lot, and they don't make shots. Not good. Not good. If they just had an average offense, they would definitely be a playing team. The thing that the Blazers do well offensively is they collect a high percentage of the shots that they miss. Offensive rebound percentage, fourth best. That is not affected by missing or making more shots. It's just the percentage of shots that you miss. How many of them are you grabbing on the offensive glass? The Blazers are good at that. And they also have the 13th best free throw rate, so slightly above average there. That's where they can make up for their lack of shooting ability and how often they turn over the ball. And it makes sense. It's kind of their identity. Defensively, the Blazers force the 6th most turnovers. They also give up a ton of offensive rebounds. They're 3rd worst on the defensive glass. So they're great on the offensive glass. They are very poor on the defensive glass. That's what happens when you have a guy like Jeremy Grant starting at the power forward spot. To break down the shooting numbers a little bit more, the Blazers shoot the worst percentage from mid-range, the 2nd to worst percentage at the rim. We've talked about it. This Blazer team always struggles finishing at the rim. The only team worse than them, surprisingly, is Miami. The Blazers are 25th ranked three-point percentage, so bad from all three areas. Basically, bottom 5 from all three areas. And it's funny because the Blazers shoot such a poor percentage at the rim, and I think some of that is because of this next stat. Your Portland Trail Blazers get to the rim more than any other team in the entire league. In the entire league. They have the most percentage of their shots coming within 5 feet in the league. Literally first place. Second place is Denver, which makes sense. They got Jokic. The Blazers take the 7th fewest mid-range shots. And they also take the 6th fewest threes. So basically, they just play downhill. They try and get to the rim no matter what. The last place team in rim attempts is Phoenix. Only 25%. Portland is at 40%. So a big contrast in styles there. And given how many shots the Blazers try and force at the rim, maybe that's part of the reason why the rim finishing number is so bad. Still, though, 57%, like, that's decent. That's decent if you're getting to the rim. You know, I would like to see them shoot a better 3-ball. And maybe if they had more floor spacing, they could finish better around the rim. Now, defensively, the Blazers have the 17th best defensive rim percentage, 12th best defensive mid-range percentage, and 11th best defensive three-point percentage. The Blazers were really struggling to defend the three-point line earlier this year. That has improved drastically, and it's part of the reason why they've been able to be more competitive the last 6 games. The Blazers do give up the 6th most threes, though, but they are deterring people from getting to the rim. They give up the 12th fewest attempts from there. So this is a little bit different than last year. The Blazers gave up a lot of attempts at the rim last year. Having Donovan Clingan it helps. I mean, that's the Donovan Clingan impact right there. And then miscellaneous numbers, assist percentage. The Blazers were dead last year, and we talked about how they need to do a better job sharing the ball. Assist percentage is the percent of made field goals that were assisted. The Blazers, they're not in last place. They're second to last, 29th. The team that is last is Houston. So the team the Blazers played a couple nights ago. The Blazers, 54.9% of their made field goals are assisted upon. You want to know something? That is actually worse by far than last year. The Blazers, 58.7% of their field goals were assisted upon last year. That was dead last. This year it's down to 54.9%. So they're even more stagnant. They're sharing the ball even worse. They have to play in isolation more, is what that shows you. Now, also, I will say this, like a lot of the Blazers' offense do come off of offensive rebounds, so those aren't going to be assisted upon, so it's not truly indicative necessarily of ball movement. I just want to make that clear. But still, you would like to see that number go higher. The Blazers block the third most shots in the league and get the ninth most steals. So, like I said, they force turnovers. They can make defensive plays. That third place block percentage, that is the Donovan Clingan effect. It's funny to see Donovan Clingan, a rookie, affect these numbers compared to last year. So anyway, those are just some stats. And I want to summarize this by saying the offense is the biggest issue with this team. And I think a big part of it, as we've discussed in a lot of post-game shows, falls on Chauncey Billups' shoulders and his inability to scheme up better half-court offense. The Blazers are terrible in the half-court offensively. The fact that they've been able to win 7 out of 17 games is actually very impressive given those numbers. 7-10 on the season against a really tough schedule. I don't know how. Oh, I know how. It's defense, it's scrappiness, it's mucking up games, and they are a grit and grind team right now. Their defense the last 6 games, I think, has been top 10. I don't know what it is in adjusted defensive rating. I wish that's something that I could sort for, but the Blazers recently have been a legitimate defense. And I said before the season they should be above average defensively. There's no excuse to not be above average defensively. You got so many defensive tools now. And adding Donovan Clingan, if Donovan Clingan was playing more, I think that would continue to go up. I think part of the reason they have been better in the past 6 games is because DeAndre Ayton hasn't been playing. DeAndre Ayton is the worst defensive center that sees regular rotation minutes between him, Clingan, and Robert Williams. Duop Reith might be worse than Ayton, right? But he's a stretch big and a third, fourth string center. DeAndre Ayton is a max guy. DeAndre Ayton, when he returns, is not going to help this Portland Trail Blazer defense. He is not going to help their defense. He's out again tonight. Donovan Clingan is out too. I think the quicker that the Blazers can get to Donovan Clingan starting, the better for their defense. But, I mean, offensively, they have to figure something out. And assuming they trade guys like Jeremy Grant, DeAndre Ayton at the deadline, I'm not sure that's going to hurt their offense too much. Jeremy Grant has not been particularly good offensively this year. This is where the Blazers could use Anthony Simons kind of figuring it out. I don't think he has much trade value, so I don't expect him to get traded at the deadline. He's definitely an offensive weapon that this team sorely needs. But going forward, they have to figure out a way to build a legitimate offense. And they aren't really seeing any progress there right now. They really aren't. They're able to win games because their defense is getting better and they are able to force some turnovers, which they can get out and run a little bit, which helps their offense. That is the only way that the Blazers can really win games. Outside of a complete outlier. They beat the Timberwolves 122-108 earlier this season, where they shot like the highest three-point percentage in a game of any team all season long. That's what it takes for the Blazers to win a game that is not a grit and grind game. And I'll say this, it's nice that they can win grit and grind games in the first place, and they have a certain play style that works for them when they're able to actually enforce it. But it's something where if they get down 10 to 15 points, it's really tough for them to come back because they just can't score enough. It's not that they can't. They did it against Atlanta earlier this season. But they really have to start making progress. The assist percentage, no progress there. Like, the half-court offense doesn't look any better. Offensively, on average, players have regressed. And that is the biggest wart of this team right now. And that is the biggest thing that needs to improve. Biggest thing that needs to improve. Now, they might be able to score 120 points if they can force a bunch of turnovers, get out and run, but they got to do better in the half court. They got to generate better shots, and part of the reason why Chauncey Billups, I believe, is a lame duck coach is because he has no ability to scheme up a half-court offense. As far as specific players on the team, I think it's pretty clear right now that DeAndre Ayton does not have a future on this team and should be traded for anything as soon as possible. I doubt he has any value. Jeremy Grant can stick on this team, but the sooner you trade Jeremy Grant, the sooner you can start Denny Avdia again, and he's been playing better, and the Blazers traded 2 first-round picks for him, so it only makes sense to move off Grant, see what they can get. He probably has more trade value than Ayton or Simons. You capitalize on that trade value, and you start Denny Avdia with Tamani Kamara at the forward positions. I think that should clearly be the plan, but I don't know if the Blazers are completely sold on that, which I think is silly considering they were completely sold on Denny Avdia when they traded for him, given what they gave up for him. And then Anthony Simons, he's going to have many more games like last game in order to rebuild any trade value. I think out of those three guys, he's the most likely to stay. I think without those three guys, you have a team that can really defend. Maybe without those three guys, you might have a top 10 defense on your hands. But the offense is probably league worst. At least they're good at something, considering you're taking three veterans on their second contracts out of the equation. But it all falls back on, okay, if you trade Grant, if you trade Ayton, maybe trade Anthony Simons if you can get something for him, how do you build a competent offense? I think part of it starts with the coach. Part of it is developing players, and part of it is bringing in more young offensive talent that has the ability to grow into like legitimate offensive difference makers. Because his offense is pretty brutal. Anyway, the Blazers play the Grizzlies tonight. Grizzlies return John Morant. The Grizzlies are a really good defensive team. 6th best defense, according to adjusted defensive rating. 13th best offense, but having John Morant back definitely helps their offense. So will the Blazers be able to manufacture points against this Memphis Grizzlies defense? The reason why I took the Grizzlies, even though they're 10.5-point favorites, is I have a feeling the Blazers tonight, especially after a emotional win, are going to struggle to score 95 points. I think Memphis wins this game 109-94. That is my prediction. And you can leave your prediction in the live chat. Jonathan Evers says, I only care about post-Ayton stats. I wish I could get you only post-Ayton stats, because it would be interesting to see. Offensively, though, they're not doing any better offensively, I don't think. Defensively is where they're better without Ayton. Most of their wins have been because of that defense. I don't know if you've discussed, but do you want Rob Will or Denny to start at the 5? I mean, Robert Williams is a center, Denny isn't, but given that Zach Edey's out, you can get away with Denny at some center minutes. And maybe offensively you can play 5 out and see how that works. Connor, I did see that. I'll just be watching those recaps. Sam Dooley says, so we're pretty mid to terrible in all aspects, really. I mean, yeah, the numbers are inflated in a bad way given some of the blowouts compared to close wins. So, like, if you go 1-1 and get a 2-point win and lose by 40, your numbers are going to look bad, right? But that's the thing. Like, the Blazers are scrapping out games and getting close wins, which is great, but that's the only reason they're 7-10. They're not, like, near league average in terms of their production as a whole, if you take into account everything. So anyway, we'll be live with the post-game show after the stream. Me versus Eric's in picks against the spread. We have to come up with a bet for that for tonight. And then Wednesday, I forget what the event night is. Let me check. Wednesday, we'll have our first big board. I'm looking forward to that. Hopefully we can get you on the post-game show. We'll probably take some chat polls for what me or Eric has to do, depending on which one does worse in picks against the spread today. And we won't have a stream on Thursday, obviously, because it's Thanksgiving. So the next episode of Blazers Uprise Live and picks against the spread will be Monday. There's only one game that day, but the quarterfinal games for the in-season tournament are Tuesday and Wednesday, so we may pick those at that time as well, so it may be a 5-game slate. Anyway, hopefully you guys have a good rest of your Monday night. Let's see if the Blazers can be competitive against the Grizzlies tonight. Anyway, I'm out of here. We'll catch you guys on the postgame show. Until then, as always, peace out. Go Blazers!